Okay, this is Hashing Crypto 101, an introduction to hashing as part of a series on crypto. What we will be going through is a walkthrough, a complete beginner, and is just a follow along. If you get stuck, you can use this as reference. So let's begin. Key terms. Before we start, we need to get some jargon out of the way. Read these and take in as much as you can. We'll expand on some of them later in the room. Plain text. Data before encryption or hashing, often text, but not always, as it could be a photograph or other files instead. Self-explanatory. Encoding. This is not a form of encryption, just a form of data representation like base 64 or hexadecimal. Immediately reversible. Hash. A hash is the output of a hash function. Hashing can also be used as verb to hash, meaning to produce the hash value of some data. Okay? Brute force. Attacking cryptography by trying every different password or every different key. Cryptanalysis. Attacking cryptography by finding a weakness in the underlying maths. This room will likely involve some research. Get good at using search engine. My favorite search engine is Google. So should be yours. It's crucial to InfoSec. Okay, first question. Read the words and understand the meaning. Is base 64 encryption or encoding? Okay, I want to say is encoding. We do a quick Google search. Base 64 is an encoding. So let's input that. Encoding. Answer is correct. All right, second task now. What's a hash function? Hash functions are quite different from encryption. There is no key, and it's meant to be impossible or very difficult to go from the output back to the input. A hash function takes some input data of any size and creates a summary or digest of that data. The output is a fixed size. It's hard to predict what the output will be for any input and vice versa. Good hashing algorithms will be relatively fast to compute and slow to reverse. Go from output and determine input. Any small change in the input data, even a single bit, should cause a large change in the output. The output of a hash function is normally raw bytes, which are then encoded. Common encodings for this are base 64 or hexadecimal. Decoding these won't give you anything useful. Why should we care? Okay, hashing is used very often in cybersecurity. When you logged in to try hack me, that used hashing to verify your password. When you logged into your computer, that also used hashing to verify your password. You interact indirectly with hashing more than you would think, mostly in the context of password. Key right there. Okay. What is a hash collision? A hash collision is when two different inputs. I'm sorry. A hash collision is when two different inputs give the same output. Hash functions are designed to avoid this as best as they can, especially being able to create intentionally a collision. Due to the pigeonhole effect, collisions are not avoidable. The pigeonhole effect is basically there are a set of numbers of different output values for the hash function, but you can give it any size input as there are more inputs than outputs. Some of the inputs must give the same output. If you have 128 pigeons and 96 pigeonholes, some of the pigeons are going to have to share. Okay, so that might cause a collision. MD5 and SHA-1 have been attacked and made technically insecure due to engineering hash collisions. However, no attack has yet given a collision in both algorithms at the same time. So if you use the MD5 hash and the SHA-1 hash to compare, you will see they're different. The MD5 collision example is available from, and this is the website, and details of the SHA-1 collisions are available at this website. Due to these, you shouldn't trust either algorithm for hashing password or data. Okay, so basically what they're telling us is that these two hashing mechanisms might not be as secure and we should not use them. Okay. what is the output size in bytes of the MD5 hash function? As we see, they did not provide us with that, so we're gonna use Google to get that answer. If we do this right here, bam, 16 bytes. So we'll just put 16 and we'll submit that. The answer is correct. Can you avoid hash collisions? I'm gonna go with nay. As we saw, it does specify here that this was it was unavoidable. Okay, if you have an 8-bit output, 8-bit hash output, how many hashes are there? Okay, so if you have an 8-bit hash output, how many possible hashes are there? I had to Google this to get the math. So if we look here, the number of possible would be 2 to the power x, where the x is the number of bits in hash. So we calculate that. We should have 256. Submit. Perfect. Okay, uses for hashing. Let's go up a bit. What can we do with hashing? Hashing is used for two main purposes in cybersecurity: to verify integrity of data, more on that later, or for verifying passwords. Hashing for password verification. Most web apps need to verify users' password at some point. Storing these passwords in plain text would be bad. Okay, that would be plain text, yeah, it's not encrypted. You probably seen news stories about companies that have their database leak. Knowing some people, they use the same passwords for everything, including their banking. So leaking these would be really, really bad. Quite a few data breaches have leaked plain text password. You're probably familiar with rocku.txt on Kali as a password word list. This came from a company that made widgets for MySpace. They stored their password in plain text and the company had a data breach. The text contains over 14 million passwords, although some are unlikely to have been user password. Sort by length if you want to see what I mean. Okay, we'll do that another time. Adobe had a notable data breach that was slightly different. The passwords were encrypted rather than hashed, and the encryption that was used was not secure. This meant that the plain text could be relatively quickly retrieved. You want to read more about these breaches? This post from Sophos is excellent. Okay, LinkedIn also had a data breach. LinkedIn used SHA-1 for password verification, which is quite quick to compute using GPUs. You can't encrypt the passwords as the key has to be stored somewhere. If someone gets the key, they can just decrypt the passwords. This is where hashing comes in. What if instead of storing the password, you just store the hash of the password? This means you never have to store the user's password, and if your database was leaked, then the attacker would have to crack each password to find out what the password was. That sounds fairly useful. It does. There's just one problem with this. What if two users have the same password? A hash function will always turn the same input into the same output. You will store the same password hash for each user. This means if someone cracks that hash, they get into more than one account. It also means that someone can create a rainbow table to break the hashes. Okay. A rainbow table is a lookup table of hashes to plain text, so you can quickly find out what passwords the users had just from the hash. A rainbow table trades time taken to crack a hash for your hard disk space, but they do take time to create. Here's a quick example so you can try and understand what they're like. Okay, so here we have the hashes on the left, and on the right we have the passwords. Okay, websites like CrackStation internally use a huge rainbow table to provide fast password cracking for hashes without salt. Doing a lookup in a sorted list of hashes is really quite fast. Much faster than trying to crack the hash. Okay, protecting against rainbow tables. To protect against rainbow tables, we add a salt to the password. The salt is randomly generated and stored in the database. unique to each user. In theory, you could use the same salt for all users, but that means that duplicate password will still have the same hash, and a rainbow table could still be created specific password with that salt. The salt is added to either the start or the end of the password before its hash. And this means that every user will have a different password hash even if they have the same password. Hash functions like bcrypt and SHA-12Crypt handle this automatically. Salts don't need to be kept private. Okay, now we're gonna crack the hash. I have the hash highlighted, and we're gonna use, I'm not gonna do it manually. What we will do is, I found a website, we'll paste it. I'm not a robot. Crack hashes, and our result says, of course, MD5, and it's basketball. If you like, you could go and do it on your own if you want to do this manually, but for the sake of time, we're gonna use CrackStation. You could go to CrackStation. Alright, so now we're gonna crack the hash. This is the second hash, and now we're gonna use the online tool. We will use another tool to crack this. I have it here already. Let's make sure I have no spaces. You want to leave this blank. Z X Let's submit and search. So we have the hash here, and our text is try hack me. So let's input try hack me. And the answer is correct. Okay, let's move along. Should you encrypt password? Obviously, yeah, we want that encryption. What's going on? No? You wouldn't want to encrypt passwords? Okay, we wouldn't. Thought wrong. Okay. Recognizing password hashes. Automated hash recognition tools such as HTTP, PyPI, Project Hash ID exist, but they are unreliable for many formats. For hashes that have a prefix, the tools are reliable. Use a healthy combination of context and tools. If you found the hash in a web application database, it's more likely to be MD5 than NTLM. Automated hash recognition tools often get these hash types mixed up, which highlights the importance of learning yourself. Unix style password hashes are very easy to recognize as they have a prefix. The prefix tells you the hashing algorithm used to generate the hash. The standard format, $ format, $round, $salt, $hash. Windows password are hashed using NTLM, which is a variant of MD4. They're visually identical to MD4 and MD5 hashes, so it is very important to use context to work out the hash type. On Linux, password hashes are stored in /etc/Seattle. This file is normally only readable by root. They used to be stored in etc password, and they were reachable by everyone. Okay. On Windows, password hashes are stored in DSAM. Windows tries to prevent normal users from dumping them, but tools like Mimikatz exist for this. Importantly, the hash found there are split into NT hashes and LM hashes. Here's a quick table of the most Unix-style password prefixes that you will see. Take a look here. We have the prefix and we have the algorithm. A great place to find more hash formats and password prefixes is the Hashcat example page available here. For other hash types, you'll normally need to go by length, encoding, or some research into the application that generated them. Never underestimate the power of research. Okay, now let's go for the first question. How many rounds does SHA-512 $6 used by default? Let's get a hint. Let's do some research. So what if we just grab this? Let's do a Google search. How many rounds does used by default? 5,000. If you not use the round options, by default, it will be 5,000. Let's see if that is correct. 5, 1, 2, 3. Correct. Okay. All right, second question. What's the Hashcat example hash from the website for Citrix NetScaler hashes? So look here, it's gonna ask us to look for the example page. I did some research. I found this website, examplehashcat.net, and what we're looking for is the Citrix NetScaler hashes. So I already have my find. If you don't know how to do this, you Control F. Very useful. Citrix, and we have it right here. We have tools, Citrix NetScaler. So we're looking for Citrix NetScaler hashes. Interesting, we have tools, Citrix NetScaler. Let's try this one and see what we get. So we'll copy this hash. It's a SHA-1. Let's input it, submit, and that is correct. Okay, now the final question. How long is a Windows NT LMM hash in characters? So we'll go back to this page. Again, we'll use our search function. We'll type in NTLM, and we have it here. And we don't need to copy it. We need to input how many characters. So I already counted it, and I know the answer is 32. Submit, and we'll move along. Okay, let's move along. So now we have password cracking. We've already mentioned rainbow tables as a method to crack hashes that don't have a salt. But what if there is salt involved? You can't decrypt password hashes. They are not encrypted. You have to crack the hashes by hashing a large number of different inputs, often RockU. These are the possible passwords, potentially adding the salt if there is one and comparing it to the target hash. Once it matches, you know what the password was. Tools like Hashcat and John the Ripper are normally used for this. Why crack on GPUs? Graphic cards have thousands of cores. Although they don't do the same sort of work that a CPU can, they are very good at some of the maths involved in hash functions. This means you can use graphics cards to crack most hash types much more quickly. Some hashing algorithms, notably bcrypt, are designed so that hashing on a GPU is about the same speed as hashing on a CPU, which helps them resist cracking. Okay, so cracking on VMs. It's worth mentioning that virtual machines normally don't have access to the host graphics cards. You can set this up, but it's a lot of work. If you want to run Hashcat, it's best to run it on your host. Windows builds are available on the website. Run it from PowerShell. You can get Hashcat working with OpenCLs in a VM, but the speeds will likely be much more worse than cracking on your host. John the Ripper uses CPUs by default and as such works in a VM out of the box, although you may need to get better speeds running it on the host, as it will have more threads and no overload from running in a VM. Never, I repeat, never use -- force for Hashcat. It can lead to false positives, wrong passwords being given to you, and false negatives skips over the correct hash. Update. As of Kali 2020.2, Hashcat 6.0 will run on the CPU without -- force. I still recommend cracking on your host OS if you have a GPU, as it will be much more faster. Okay, time to get cracking. I provide the hashes, crack them. You can choose how. You'll need to use online tools, Hashcat, or John the Ripper. Remember the restrictions on online rainbow tables. Don't be afraid to use hints. RockU or online tools should be enough to find these. Okay, so now we're going to continue and we're going to crack this hash right here. So I had to pause the video and do some research. So the first thing we want to do is identify. So we'll paste here, submit, and identify. Okay, so we see the possible algorithm bcrypt. Okay, so we'll go back. What we want to do now is run this command. Let's make sure I have my box ready. Okay, so we know it's a bcrypt, so let's hit enter. Let's open our terminal. We're gonna use hashcat minus h pipe grep dash I capital F quotes, and we said it is bcrypt. Okay, so we have 3200. Okay, so we know it's module 3200. Now we're gonna crack that. So let's go again. We press the up hashcat. Let's delete this. Minus M. We set 3200. Now we gotta grab the hash again. Let's copy this. Put it on a clipboard, paste it. Let's copy it again. Space to put a quote here. Let's move this out the way. Paste, perfect. Now we gotta put the path to the word list. So it should be USR share word list rock txt, and we'll see it starting. Okay. Okay, so the answer should be this. So let's copy this. Candidate number 1, 80250. Let's copy that. And if we paste it, submit, that is correct. Okay. Okay, so on the second one, we want to crack this one. Now, if you remember, it said that we could use online tools. So we'll go back to the Hashers website, paste it, submit and search, and we have our hash. And here's our crack, Halloween. So let's copy Halloween, come back here, Halloween, submit, and it's correct. Okay, let's move along. Crack this hash. So now this one is quite longer. So first we need to identify it. Oh, did I grab everything? Let's make sure we have everything. Now when you go to this site, ensure that we're identifying hashes now. So we'll submit and identify. And now this one is different. It's a SHA-512 crypt. Okay. So let's go to our terminal. We gotta type in the correct module. So it's almost the same as this hashcat. What we're changing here, instead of bcrypt, SHA-512CRYPT. Let's see, we got our module. Excellent. Our module is 1800, as you see right here. So let's crack this. Okay, so we're gonna use the word list again. What we need to do, I'm using it from my last one. First, let's make sure I got the right. Okay, so let's copy this. If we start from here, oh, there's two things we have to change, but let's start with this. Before I forget, we're using 1800 now. 1800 user share. So let's put that there. Let me see if it. Nope, that's not gonna work. So let's go to our clipboard. Delete this, copy this. Okay, yeah, looks good. Copy it. We'll paste. Let's move this out the way. Okay, I'm gonna pause this and we'll be back once it's completed. Okay, and we're back. So the crack finish. So I have candidates 1 as last time. We took this one. Let's copy that. Paste. Whoa. Nope. Let's see. Sunshine 13. Copy. Sunshine 13. Nope. I have another one here. Will it be Princess? Okay. Copy. Neither. Interesting. Okay, let's see where we went wrong. Okay, so first I noticed I was inputting it in the wrong field, and this is our hash. Not our hash, but our password. Whoa, no, let me just type it. Space man. And that is the correct answer. Okay. Bored of this yet? Not really, but for this one, we're going to run it on CrackStation. Just out of curiosity, let's see the hint. Try online. RockU isn't always enough. So we're gonna use CrackStation. So let's paste it here. I'm not a robot. Let's crack hashes. And we have our result is an MD5. So remember that. You can always use online tools. So this is an MD5. And just so you know, this supports all these hash types. MD5 is listed here. That's why that will work. Okay, final one. Hashing for integrity. Task 6. Hashing can be used to check that files haven't been changed. If you put the same data in, you always get the same data out. If even a single bit changed, the hash will change a lot. This means you can use it to check that files haven't been modified or to make sure that they have downloaded correctly. You can also use hashing to find duplicate files. If two pictures have the same hash, then they are the same picture. HMAC is a method of using a cryptographic hashing function to verify the authenticity and integrity of data. The TryHackMe VPN uses HMAC SHA-512 for message authentication, which you can see in the terminal output. A HMAC can be used to ensure that the person who created the HMAC is who they say they are. This is authenticity. And that the message hasn't been modified or corrupted for integrity. They use a secret key and a hashing algorithm in order to produce a hash. Okay, first question. What's the SHA-1 sum of the AMD Kali 2019.4 ISO? So basically what I did was I went to this link. We got the index. It asks for the SHA-1 sum. So we click here, SHA-1 sum, and it will open a file. You open it. I opened it with Notepad. We copy this, Kali Linux 2019.4 with the AMD 64 ISO. So you make sure you grab this one. We copy this, bring it here, and we click submit, and that is the correct answer. Okay, and finally, what is the hashcat mode number for HMAC-12? And we want the key equal pass. So I went a bit ahead and I went to wiki. I searched it here. We got the key and the pass. So now it's asking the mode number. We go back. Mode number is 1750. Let's input 1750 and we submit. And congratulations, you have completed the room. If you found this informative, please subscribe and share. Thank you.